Hello everyone, this is Frosty and welcome to another video on this channel. So in the last video the other day, we basically talked about vegans and how veganism should not be, well, I didn't say it should not be, but I just said that it didn't make sense that they want to make it a religion. And the only reason why they would want to do that is because it makes it easier to force people to do certain things. And that's the idea that we're going to get into this video with, the idea of forcing. So the basic gist of this video is that there's a vegan selling guy, right? And this guy has a restaurant of vegan food and all that. But then the funny thing is, and apparently from this video, because this video is actually from, if we actually scroll down, from 2019, which is like 2 years ago, right? Almost 2 years ago. And the thing is with this video, they basically informed me, I didn't know this, because where I am in Zimbabwe, KFC just has no more food. Every time I go in there, I just find no more food, non-vegan, no more food. And I've never seen a situation where I've bought food. Well, I'm going to give an example later on of where that happened, but in KFC specifically, I've never seen a situation where they would sell me food that I think is vegan food, and then when I eat it, I'm like, what the heck is this, right? So situations like that don't make sense, and situations like that should never exist, where I buy food and find out that it's vegan food. Or even when I go on the menu, I shouldn't be confused on what I'm getting. Right? And there's a part in the video where they talk about this. Let me just increase the speed of this video so that it's actually a bit faster. So that's what they really talk about. Yeah, they're talking about the idea that why are you naming vegan food with names of normal food? So for example, let's say normal fish fingers, we know that they're just fish fingers, and the type of food that is there is meat, and the type of meat that is there is fish, right? But then what these guys are doing, they would name a vegan food fish something, but there's no fish in it. Right? And the only reason why I think they're doing this is because they know, obviously, most people who are not really paying too much attention when they're buying food, they end up buying the vegan food. And then when they get home, they're like, what the heck is this? And let's just watch through this. And then if I remember, I'll actually tell the story of me actually eating vegan food. And by mistake, it was my fault. But anyways, let's just get into this.
I love a vegan sausage roll, but veggie sausages and beanbags could soon disappear from our shelves and be replaced by vegan tubes, veggie discs, and even slabs instead of steaks.
Yeah, not quite so sexy, is it, for you vegans, when you can't use...
All right, so I like these two. Piers Morgan, as of today, I heard that he actually quit Good Morning Britain, so I don't think this dynamic is ever going to exist anymore on this show. But what Susanna did here is funny. She's saying that she's basically insinuating that it's bad that their names for vegan food are being changed to actually mean vegan. So like steak, for instance, steak is like no longer being called steak. Well, it isn't steak, Susanna, so they shouldn't call it steak. I don't know why she's saying that. Well, she might be joking about it, but my point still stands. Like, yeah, they should change the name. If it's not steak, it's not steak. Don't call it steak, right? I'm not Rob, I'm Frosty. Do not call me Rob because I'm not Frosty, right? I'm oh my God. Do not call me Rob because I'm not Rob, I'm Frosty. That's what I meant to say. All right. So yeah, let's continue. That was just a little jab I wanted to take at Susanna, but I like her. She's cute, so I like her and all that.
I'll meet.
So this is the guy who actually supports this, where they want to remove like vegan food. Like for example, I'm not going to buy a fish vegan something, right? Because there's no fish in there. So he's advocating for that name being changed, not to be called fish, but be called something else, because it is something else. Then the other two that they're going to show are just people who are trying to combat this decision. At least that's how I understood the video. If I'm wrong, I'll address it in the future as we go. Okay, this is a side note. So at this point in time, I think Susanna is not married. She isn't. I'm going to try to look around her fingers. And the way she's looking at this dude, like, damn, look at it. I've never seen Susanna like this. This is the first time me seeing this video. No, not the first time. I've watched it before to make this video. But I'm saying this video in the past, I've never ran into it ever. So this is the first time me seeing Susanna acting like this. I think she likes maybe this guy over here. This is a side note. This is nothing to do with the video, but I've noticed that the way she's looking at the dude, like for example, let's move like 5 seconds back. Okay, that's a bad picture of her. Likes this dude, but well, that's not part of the video, so let's move on. All right, so the thing is, this makes sense. I mean, why would you? It's like me. Okay, you know how a long time ago we used to have phones that were not smartphones per se. They were just these phones that did a simple thing, right? They just made phone calls and texts That's all they did. And in those situations, imagine you buying a phone, right? It says iPhone on the top, right? It's iPhone. It just says iPhone. You don't know what it is. And then when you open the box after buying the phone, you see that it's a Nokia 3310, for example. Of course, you're going to be like, what the hell? So obviously, companies are not allowed to do that. You're lying to your customers. So that makes sense. It makes sense to put a law like that because, well, lying is a bad thing. So a law to protect people from lies should exist. Because if I'm buying a burger, I know a burger has meat in it. If it doesn't have meat in it, it shouldn't be called a burger. So now I think this is the right time for me to actually talk about this story, what this happened. So I was in grade 7, and in grade 7 you'd be the age of 12, right? So I was supposed to be going around to write entrance tests, and these tests are just basically to get you into a high school, right? You write this test, they judge you through that test and say, well, you passed, you failed, you can get into our school, you can get out of our school, all that stuff. Just trying to earn a place in that school for Form 1, which is your first year in high school. So I went to this school. I don't know if I should name it, but I went to this school. I'm just going to say I went to this school to write a test, and it's a Pakistani school, I think. I forgot the type of people, but there's a religion out there that doesn't allow meat, basically. I forgot the name, and if you want, you can comment, and then I can basically then tell you. I'll do the research, but if you really need to know, just tell me in the comments. But basically, when I went to this school, I was actually told this, so I don't really blame the school for what happened next, but let's just say that, let's for sake of argument, let's just say that they didn't tell me for the sake of this argument. And I got to the school, right? And we basically, what happens is you just get there, you write your 2 tests, you write the English test, then the math test, and then you're done. Then they judge you. Then they'll tell you later on if you got in, if you didn't get in. So in the middle of writing these 2 tests, you get a break. I think it's like a 15-minute to 20-minute break. Then during that break, as a kid, obviously you're just gonna buy food. You don't have to buy food, but we usually just buy food because, well, the money's not yours. You just, if you're given money, you're usually not responsible with that money. So I buy my burger. I think it's a burger. And then I eat it. Like, I just took 1 bite. I'm not lying. 1 bite. And the thing that was housing all of the vegetarian stuff inside, like the stuff that was in there, like the stuff was in, there was just like vegetables and all that. But the thing that was housing all of that stuff, the thing that was encapsulating all of that, looked like meat. So when I bought it, I'd forgotten that, well, these guys actually said that this is a no meat school. I'd forgotten that. I was hungry. Well, I wasn't hungry. I just wanted to, I was craving food. So when I bought that, I thought that there was meat. So I take this huge chunk, right? With it, I just take this huge chunk because I love burgers. And I usually, when you're at home, you don't see burgers and you spend most of your time at home with school. So you don't actually get to buy burgers. So I was like, yeah, this is my chance. I'm buying a burger. This is a high school. This is cool. I take a massive chunk, right? With that chunk, I'm surprised to find that instead of meat, there are vegetables in there, and it was so disgusting. And me growing up in a family where we say you don't just throw away food, and I'd actually spend money on this food, I was like, probably my brother might like this. So I basically put it in my bag. I go for my next test. Maybe that's why I didn't even get in, because the second test I probably failed so bad because my stomach was disappointed. But then I give it to my lighty, and he enjoyed it. He's not a vegan, right? But he enjoyed my lighty, meaning my little brother. He enjoyed the food very well. So yeah, I get it. There are people who enjoy it, there are people who don't enjoy it. But then imagine in this situation if these people actually didn't tell me firsthand, like at first, that there's no meat here. They'll just say, go to the shops. Then when I buy the food, I find out there's vegetables. And let's say I was brave enough to go up and say, well, there's no meat there. They'll be like, oh, you bought it, woohoo. That wouldn't be right. That is not moral, and it's basically breaking the law because you're lying to me by making me spend money on something that I didn't want, right? You're basically stealing my money. I didn't want this, right? So I think France did the right thing from what PS is saying, that they basically said that you cannot lie to your customers, which is exceptionally fine. All right? So let's go on. You can't call them veggie sausages because sausage implies meat. So yes, if you put veggie in front, then that might alarm people and say, well, there's no meat in there. Fine. And that could work. You can call it veggie sausages. Maybe that's okay. And putting that veggie in front and say, but still, it's still wrong in the sense that sausage implies there's meat in there, right? So you say veggie, fine. Sausages, you're like, oh, what is it? Is it both? Like, you see, like that's where the confusion comes in. So that's the problem that I have with the whole thing. That's not supposed to be on the screen. So basically, that's the idea there. You shouldn't be lying to your people that you're doing this stuff, right? So let's move on.
At it. Sausage is a shape. It's a way of making something that feels.
It's not though. If you actually look.
No, it's not that. And Piers is going to explain for you guys. But yeah, I'm with him. It's not that. He's just trying to, like, you know, when you start a business where people are not buying, like, let's just say 80% of your population, they're not buying that type of food. Of course, you're going to try and make ways for your food to be bought. And they're trying to use sausage, the word sausage, to get people to buy, because a person who's being ignorant in that moment will buy something, then realize later on that, whoa, what happened? Then maybe there'll be rules set there where you can't get refunds and all that. Situations like this happen a lot. So it makes sense what they're doing, but is it moral? No, it isn't.
In the dictionary, sausage is a meat-based product.
Yes,
So, yeah, use your own words. But if you do that, then you're put in a situation where your food will not be sold, right? So that's why they're doing that. And it's funny that, yes, this is like a 2-year-old video, right? And a lot of people do this. Like, they want to change language. And I noticed this in the left-leaning side of politics, where they wanna change the word retarded. They want the word retarded to be made illegal. But they're only doing that mostly because maybe, like, they're just offended by the word or something, then they want it to be changed. But language doesn't work like that. And the whole Jordan Peterson situation, where in Canada, when they were saying that, well, they wanted to force people to use pronouns, like, no, that's not how it works. You don't force people to use certain language, and you don't change meanings of words just because you want it to benefit you. It doesn't work like that. Because if we could do that, then I could change stupid to be smart, because, well, people call me stupid. See, like, there won't be limits to this, because there's this analogy I use a lot when I'm talking to people. I say, if you put a gun on a table, someone is going to fire it. So with that analogy, the moment that you then start manipulating words, people will manipulate words in different ways, and in ways that will start to harm people. And as a last note to what I'm saying, Pierce's face looks weird in this shot, but yeah, let's continue. Okay, I'm with Susanna too on that point. Okay, fine. If you call them tubes, then obviously no one is going to buy it. So yeah, I get it. Maybe vegans should be more creative with their naming, right? They should just name their food in certain ways that make sense for people to eat it. And anyways, I think maybe if vegans found an alternative to meat, a lot of people would actually eat that meat. But that's another point. I'm digressing now. So I'll go back to what we're talking about right now. But that's a point that I just wanted to say. Like, if you make your food taste good, most people might actually eat it, because that memory still burns in my head. Like, I was 12, that was the last time I ever touched any other type of food. And as Frosty today, I'm not going to touch vegan food based on that experience until someone actually forces me. So, and force, I'm not talking about tyrannical force. I'm just talking about a situation where if someone actually gives me a proper reason to actually try it again, I will. But until that day, I'm not going to get out of my way to do it, because I don't like vegan food. I like eating meat. Meat is good, right? Let's continue. All right, I think this video is going way too long, and the side that I wanted to argue against is already spoken. So there might be more to the video. You can actually go to it. So maybe I'll link it in the video, in the description. But yeah, I get what they're saying. I really do get what he's saying, that a substitute needs to be there, right? It needs to be there so that you know what it's a substitute for. But then you shouldn't name it the name of the substitute, the thing that you're substituting. So yeah, with all that, so basically, I think if France implemented this properly, I'll do my research, but PS said so, that they implemented that law. That makes sense, because, well, the meat industry is not taking it too far, because, well, you're basically using our name to lie to people to buy your food instead of ours. And then when that happens, well, we've got angry customers, and, well, angry customers means you're not going to make any money. And these guys know that, because, well, if a lot of people were lining up to buy vegan food, they wouldn't need to lie to them using names. So yeah, that's me, Frosty. I'm done with this. So if you like the video, like it. And if you really, really like it, you can go watch the other one, the previous one that I actually made when we were talking about the veganism as a religion. And yeah, we can have talks on that. In the comments, you can just put your comment and I'll respond. So yeah, with that said, this is Frosty and I'm out.